we're going to build upon what we learned last week with percents and proportions and explore percents of change. As you look at the slide right here, you'll see right away that by change we're talking about an increase or a decrease. Maybe that's a price, maybe that's weight. We don't know what that is, but we're going to talk about percentages of increasing or decrease. Okay, from last week we talked about A over B equals percent over 100, and that A being a part of a whole. Okay, and a little bit different terminology will be thrown your way this week when we talk about original price. Well, think of that original price as the whole price. Okay, and so as we look at a few definitions here, we have a percent change describes how much a quantity increases or decreases. Like I said earlier, that could be weight, that could be temperature, it could be anything. Percents of increase means the new amount is greater than the original, and a percent of decrease means that the new amount is less than the original. Okay? It's always based on that original amount. Now when we talk about original, keep in mind that the original is a lot like this whole that we talked about last week. Okay? We'll be using that proportion, what we learned about proportion, or rediscovered rather. So when we're finding percents of change, we'll take that amount of increase or decrease, so the change over the original amount, and set that equal to the percent over 100. Okay? And so we'll jump right into a few examples here, and this one just says find the percent of increase. So the original was 20. We don't know what this is, but we'll just call it like it is. The original was 20, new was 25. Okay? And so back to our formula here, we have to put the change on top. We'll have that change over the original, and we're going to set that equal to P over 100, and that's going to stand for our percent, and percents are always out of 100. That's why that 100 goes on the bottom. Okay, so to this specific example here, what's the change between those two? If the original is 20 and the new is 25, we know that change to be 5. Okay, the original is 20, and we'll set that equal to P, which is going to stand for the percent change over 100. Okay, and now we're just looking the same as what we learned last week. We have a couple different ways to break this down and solve it. The first thing that you should always do is reduce to make your life easier. This 5/20ths, we'll turn that into 1/4 is equal to P over 100. Find the rule. 4 times what is 100? Well, that's 25. So 1 times 25, and for this example, P is going to be equal to 25. So there's a 25% increase. Okay, so when you solve for P, that P is going to be a percent. Moving on to the next one here, number 2, we need to find that change. So if the original is 55 and the new is 143, we subtract that away and we'll get 88. Now, what's the original? That's the 55. So right away, our change is larger than our original. So that's going to mean that our percent is over 100. Okay, well, let's think about that for a minute. Can you have a percent over 100? Well, absolutely. That just means it's more than doubling. Okay, and so as we set the P and the 100 over here, we're set up in our proportion. Here again, we're going to want to reduce to make our lives easier. 11 goes into both of these, so we're going to have 8 over 5 is equal to P over 100. Now it's easy to find the rule. We could say 5 times what is 100. I'm going to go ahead and explore this one using cross products here. 5 times P, so 5P is going to equal 800 when you look the other way. And then we just divide by 5. Divide by 5. Okay. And we're going to get 160% increase. Okay? And so keep in mind when you get your proportion set up, you really have two different ways. If there's an easy rule, there was in this one, but I chose to show you the cross product method. Either way to solve that. Okay, so now we're finding the percent decrease. Original was 20, new was 15. What's our change? Change goes on top, change was 5. Original was 20. We'll set that equal to P over 100 and find the percent change. 20 times 5 is 100, so 5 times 5 is going to give us 25% decrease. On your assignment, if they simply ask for the change, you will need to specify whether that change is a decrease or an increase. Number 2, we have our original is 102. Our new is 51, so we're decreasing. Man, those numbers look pretty familiar. It's almost like it's decreasing by half. Think about that as we work through this. So my change is 51 over 102. I'll set that equal to my percent over 100. And I'm going to reduce to make my life easier. And if I reduce this down, I will get 1/2 is equal to P over 100. 2 times 50 is 100. So 1 times 50 equals P. Okay? And so that's going to give me a 50% decrease. Let's analyze that for just a second before we move on. A 50% decrease is going to mean that it's basically cutting in half. We started at 102. We ended up with half as much. That's a 50% decrease. In 1974, the price of hot dogs at Yankee Stadium was $1.25. In 1994, the price was $2.25. By what percent did the price change in 20 years? Okay, so remember, we want our change over our original is equal to P over 100, the formula that we'll just plug and play. Our change was $1. Our original is 125. P over 100. Okay, a lot of different ways you could go to solve this one actually. I'm just going to use the cross product method just because we're pretty familiar with that. Alright, 1 times 100, well that's just 100. It's going to be equal to 1.25p from this other side. Okay, isolate the variable, divide both sides by $1.25. There we go. And if we work that out, we'll get 80% increase. Okay. Alright, we're going to switch gears just a little bit, still doing the same thing, except now we're using percent of change to find a new amount. They're going to give you the percent of change. Okay? Now when we get to this point, our options increase. We have several different ways to solve these, and the more you do them, the more it'll become pretty clear what we're doing. Bottom line here, we can always use the percent proportion method, the method we just used. Okay? But let's explore a couple different other ways. Let's talk about this for a minute. For a percent increase, multiply the original amount by the 100% plus the percent change. Okay? And for a percent decrease, multiply the original by 100% minus the percent change. Okay? So let's go ahead and just jump right into something here. And I think we can make it make sense here. All right, we're going to increase 25 by 24%. All right. And so basically what we're thinking here is we need to find 24% of 25. Okay? It's as simple as that, but we're going to increase it. Okay, so let's pull up the calculator and just do this real quick. All right? 24% of 25 means 24% times 25. Okay, we could also go 0.24 times 25. Whoa, something was wrong there. Let's try this again. 0.24 times 25. Hey, that looks a little better. How about a 6? Okay, so we know that 24% of 25 is 6. Now we have to increase 25 by 6. All right, so then we come back here and we'll just add these together. And we get 31. Okay, pretty easy way. If you don't like that way, you could always set it up like this. Use our proportion, except now we're going to set it up a over 25 equals 24 over 100, because now they give us the increase of 24%, so that's got to go right there. And we're trying to find that part, all right? And so that's how you would set that up using the same methods to solve on that one, okay? Let's jump down to number 2 here. Now we're decreasing 35 by 60%. Okay, let's think about this here. All right, so in other words, we could say that this is 60% off of 35. Okay, so 60% off. How would we do that? 60% of 35. All right, well, what's 35 times 60% is 0.6. Well, that's 21. Okay, 60% off is 21. Now, what did we do last time? Last time we had to add it. This time it's decreasing, so we're going to go 35 minus 21, and that's going to give us 14. Okay, so if we decrease 35 by 60%, that's 14. Let me show you one more way to use on your calculator. It involves this percent button here. Okay, if I just simply go 35 minus 60, and then I hit this percent button, the first thing that pops up is that's 60% of 35. And then I push the equal button, that gives me my final answer. Makes it pretty quick and painless to solve those. Either way works. The percent proportion always works if you're most comfortable with that way. Alright, doing some shopping here. You buy a shirt that is on sale for 15% off. Okay, so that's a decrease. The original price of 25. What is the sale price? Okay, and so if we think about this, all of something is 100%. So if we're taking 15% off, we're talking about 85% of the original. Okay? And so 85% of the original price, what is the original price? Well, that's just 25. Okay? And so if we just go 0.85 times 25, that's going to give me 85% of 25. Okay? And so if we do that, we should end up with $21.25. Okay? Other ways to do that one's probably the straightforward. The other way you could have done this is find 15% of 25 and subtracted that away from the original amount. Okay? Either way works. A street vendor buys bracelets at wholesale price of $7. Marks up. So if you mark up something, that's an increase. Okay, so we're adding up the price by 150%. Think about that for a minute. If you mark up something 100%, you are doubling it. So this is more than doubling. What is the retail price? How much is she selling it for? All right. So we are increasing 150% of 7. All right. So let's turn 150% into a decimal so we can easily multiply this one. That's just going to be 1.5 times 7. Okay, if we work that out, we're going to get $10.50. Now, are we done? No. Okay, this right here is simply the markup. Okay, that's the increase of 150%. What we need to do now is add the original back to find how much the retail price would be. We work that out, we're going to get a $17.50 bracelet. Okay, I'm going to show you a way to do this type on the calculator here. Alright, so let's rewind for just a second here. We have a wholesale price of 7. We're going to mark up that price by 150%. Pull up our calculator here. We'll make sure it's cleared out this time. We have our wholesale price of $7. So I'll type in 7. And I'm going to add 150%. 150%. Now that's going to give me the $10.50. That's the markup. So now I need to push the equal sign, and voila, it gives you $17.50. Same thing. Okay, so that's a little bit about the percent change. The last couple slides, we talked about a couple different ways to do percent markups. Guys, the proportion, setting it up as the proportions, always works. So if you're uncomfortable with some of the stuff I was doing on the last 3 slides, you can always use those proportions. Okay, take a look at the assignment, and we'll see you next time.